Hello and welcome to another edition of Overland Fam. In today's video, Croatia and Albania, two Balkan countries that have had largely different outcomes. Albania is still a country which is relatively unknown to most foreigners. If you go to Albania, you will automatically feel like you are a little bit alienated, which I think right now in this day and age in Europe is something a lot of people are searching for. Croatia is a different kettle of fish. I wanted to compare both of these two countries now that I've visited both of them, because I think that these two countries, I mean, for overlanders, for people like us who have a certain mindset when it comes to what we enjoy, what we look for when we go to travel, I think we as overlanders have a different perspective in what we perceive as being the perfect vacation. So in today's video, I wanted to compare the two countries. Which one is better? Which one is better for overlanding? Which one is better for vacationers? Which one is better for people who are just looking for a camping experience? First, I'd like to ask you to please like, subscribe, share, and click the bell notification. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to give you the first reason why I believe Albania is still, for me, the best country to visit if you are a person that is looking for a country that is still undeveloped and still raw in its beauty. Many people go to Albania, they fly into Albania and they'll fly into Tirana, the capital city. And it's understandable that when they get to Tirana, they see Albania as being not the most pleasant country in the world. And I can totally understand this because I was there myself and I don't know what to say. I'm trying to keep this as diplomatic as possible. Let's just say it wasn't my cup of tea. I stood out like a sore thumb because I was the only black person there, and I think I saw one other black person who rushed up to me and he was like, he was giving me a pound. Yeah, how you doing? He was an African American guy, and he was just, I think he was just relieved to see another black guy. And he had got there and he actually spoke to me. He told me he had a horrible time there. I could totally understand that he felt alienated being the only black person there. Not only that, but he was an African American, and Albania is quite cut off from the rest of the world. It's a real strange one. You don't get a lot of foreigners there. I mean, if you go just up the road to Montenegro, the neighboring country, the neighboring northern country, they get tons of Russians there. And so it's a real weird one. They don't tend to go to Albania for one reason or another. But I think that's all because of the bad rep Tirana has, and also the bad reputation and the negative rhetoric that keeps being pushed out by the media, by Hollywood, about how Albania somehow is synonymous with gangsters and the mafioso. But I need to tell you this. I only spent one day in Tirana and I didn't like it. However, that was towards the end of my journey. I spent the majority of my journey in southern Albania. And for me, this place was like I had gone to heaven. It was really this beautiful. So let's try and organize things, okay? So what are the things that are beautiful about Albania that you don't get in Croatia? So in Croatia, I found many beaches. There were many beautiful beaches, and we went to the Pula Peninsula, okay, which is way up north. Guys, if you are looking to get to a place which is close to Europe, right? If you're looking to get to a place that is a little bit remote, that where you have a bit of peace, a bit of calm from other people, don't go to Pula. And there is a really good reason for this. Croatia is very developed, much more developed than Albania. The roads are perfect. They're long, they're straight, they're good. the electricity, everything about that country has been well developed and developed for the tourist industry. Let me tell you a story. So number one, the beaches, okay? So the beaches are just better in Albania. The reasons why is because the beaches have less tourists. That's number one, okay? But because there's less tourists there is less pollution in the water. So the water is just crystal clear. It is so crystal clear. It is so beautiful that it really took my breath away, because I was able to see right down to the bottom of the ocean floor, which is not something I've seen before. It's really surreal for me to see something quite like that. Another reason why the beaches are beautiful is because more up north in Croatia, you have the more stony pebble beaches, okay, which also makes the water very beautiful, but it's not very nice to lie on. It's not very nice to, to a place to be. And for your kids are not really going to be able to play with that. But if you go down south to Albania, into southern Albania, you will get more sandier beaches. They're not completely sandy, but they are sandier. And even though they are sandy, the sand isn't fine enough to produce silt, which would make the ocean a little bit more murkier. So it's still sandy, but it's still beautiful, still crystal clear, still green. You get these greeny blues, just absolutely perfect, right? I think the beaches there are incredible. Another reason why the beaches are incredible is for my reason number two of why I love Albania over Croatia. And that is because of how you can get remote in Albania. So I'm going to give you a story. Me and my family, we went to a beach. It was a beautiful beach. You're probably seeing videos of it right now. It was not remote, but it was a little far away from the main town where we were staying in northern Croatia. So we had to drive to it, and then to get access, we had to drive all the way down this windy path, but access was reasonable. But because access is reasonable and free, then it was, of course, filled with tourists. It was a small beach, but it was ram-packed with tourists. There was easily 100 people on this tiny beach, even though the beach was absolutely pristine. It was beautiful. There was 100 people on the beach, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is rather cozy, but this is not what I was looking for. So me and my wife, we said, okay, then we're going to try and find a remote beach. So the very next day, we drove our car to the ferry port, and we took a ferry to an island called Cres. We drove halfway down this island and we found a remote beach. We could only access this remote beach via a boat or via a 3-hour return trek up a mountain. My wife is 7 months pregnant. I had a toddler, and we were standing there and we made the decision to go on the trek. It was so difficult. It was very, very hard to get to this beach. But once we got there, we were so happy.
It is time once again to start our ascension back up to the top of the hill. We're looking at around between an hour and a half and 2 hours, I think. Took us about an hour to get down.
It was the most remote beach that we got to. It was the least busy beach that we got to, and there was still between 5 and 10 watercraft hovering around, people getting off, getting on, and there was at least 50 people that had come off the mountain as well. So we were far from alone. It is not remote. It is just impossible to get remote there. It must be, because people were just willing to take this trek to get away from everybody else. And this is one thing that I just didn't like about this peninsula. But anyway, I'm going to tell you another story. So me and my wife went, like I said, to southern Albania, and we went there last year. And the video that you're seeing now is a beautiful beach that we found. It was so beautiful. It's so long. You know, you could see off into the distance from both ways. We were the only people on this beach. The only people on this beach.
There aren't many places like this where you can go to in Europe, where you have beautiful beaches, crystal clear waters, empty beaches. It's empty. Look, there's no one here, not one person. Look at this water.
We had vehicle access to this beach, okay? So all we had to do was drive our car to the beach. We were the only car there. We parked up next to the beach. We came off the beach. We were the only people there. You can see this in the video. This was in August, for crying out loud. August, peak season. And we were the only people on this beautiful beach watching the sunset. And for me, that is something that I'd never experienced in Europe, definitely not in Europe. And this is what I really like about Albania, being able to get seclusion. It may not have been that remote, okay, but it was seclusion. We got to a place where it wasn't filled with foreign tourists, and that is one thing I love about Albania. One of the best places for being remote and getting seclusion, I think, in the whole of Europe when it comes to beaches. Okay, another reason why I like Albania over I'm talking about northern Croatia, because I think Croatia differs, it must differ. And I've only been to northern Croatia, so when I went to northern Croatia, because it was so touristic-y, it was still expensive. Everything is expensive because everything is being catered for by the tourists who go to that part of Croatia. It is extremely convenient for a lot of countries to get to that part of Croatia. So if you are from Switzerland or from Germany, or if you're from Austria, if you are from Italy, there are lots of Italian tourists there. If you're from Slovenia, Slovakia, those places, it is very easy to get to this part of Croatia. So many people go there. It was really, really busy. And we haven't even hit peak season yet. We haven't hit peak season yet. So we were there a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, it was still early June. That's one thing I dislike about Croatia. Another thing about Croatia, and this is number 3. Another thing about Croatia that I dislike is the inability to have natural camping. You can't go natural camping in Croatia. It's illegal. So you can't do it. I mean, people do it, but you're not officially allowed to do it. So you can only camp at designated spots. And of course, those spots are just ram-filled with people. I can understand the reason why Croatia would do this. This is not just to protect the environment, but it's because of the ease of access from many people who come from many different countries. It is vital for them to be able to control who does what in these forests. Croatia does have forest fires, so it's difficult for them to take control of it. It needs to be done. Whereas in Albania, there are many places where you can natural camp. And the thing is, it's not filled with these types of tourists. So people tend to go there if they want seclusion, if they want to go a little bit off the beaten path. So that is perfect for anyone who is looking to get away from everybody else. And I'm guessing that's what you want to do when you want to go on vacation. If you are British, you don't want to go abroad and, you know, be in an environment where you're filled with British people. You want to sort of get in contact with the locals, don't you? So that is one thing that I love about Albania, being able to get away from the crowd, being able to camp naturally. And the last thing I would say that I love about Albania is the trails. Albania has some amazing trails for overlanders. When I was there, I saw many overland vehicles. They were there in their droves. I've got to be honest with you. Many of these people came from Switzerland or Germany, but they were all there in machines that were rough and ready to take on some pretty extreme environments. So you could tell that these people had only come to Overland and to have that bit of freedom, that freedom that you can't get pretty much anywhere else, along with the beauty pretty much anywhere else in Europe. Southern Albania is a real magnet for overlanders. If you want to go overlanding, if you want to go off the beaten path, if you want to perhaps try your vehicle out, see what it can take within the comfort of being able to get somebody to pull you out of a sticky situation. You know, you don't have to go remote, but you can get the rough and readiness of being in a remote place in Albania. That you can't do in Croatia, because Croatia, the infrastructure is so good that, you know, seldom will you get to a place where you can get stuck. You will always get help. It's very easy in Croatia. Whereas you have that sort of combination of being able to get yourself remote, but get the help as and when you need it, if that instance does arise. So guys, those are my reasons why I love Albania over Croatia. I think Croatia is an incredible country. There are some negatives to Albania. I think that people in Croatia, well, I was in northern Pula, and those people are just used to foreigners. They know foreigners. You know, so when I was there with my beautiful wife, my beautiful Balkan wife, I'm walking down the streets, I wasn't getting stared at. No one cared. No one looked at us because everybody there was foreigners anyway. And the people that work there are used to seeing foreigners, okay? You won't get that in Albania, okay? You just have to look out the window and people are like, wow, what is that? You know, people were always staring because a lot of people had never seen a black person before, period, ever, in real life. So, you know, you really are going that far off the beaten path. You're going to a place where people may not even have met a person of your color or creed or ethnicity or background or nationality. So, you know, you're going to get that in Albania. But let me stress once again, Tirana still is a place where I don't see myself running to again. It's not really that bad, but it's just not my cup of tea, you know. This is clearly not going to be the last time I'm going to be visiting those two countries. I look forward to visiting both of them again, exploring both of them again. But guys, right now, all I have to say is that Albania, for me, comes out on top. It's just the raw beauty as well. It's not a difficult place to drive to. For me, it's just number one. Okay guys, so that's all I've got time for today. I'd like to thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.